Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Black and Save. I'm one of your hosts, Kyron Green, and
I'm Dr. Keisha.
you all know how we like to start this show off. There's a simple question I always ask my wonderful colleague and friend, Dr. Keisha, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Have to
Yeah,
think about it. Wait a minute. How am I doing?
yeah,
Like the knee-jerk reaction is to be like, I'm fine, how are you? Right?
absolutely.
And so I've become very aware of that. And so I kind of try to mentally check in with myself when somebody asks me that.
Mm-hmm.
And then
So yeah,
sometimes, like, I have so much going on in my head, it's very difficult to like ground myself,
yeah, and come back
to the moment and like
absolutely.
connect with my body.
Mm-hmm. And you left again and came back. I saw it in your face. Your eyes said, "Oh, wait a
Do
minute."
you do that?
I do it all the time. Mine is I have to come back to myself, and then I'm looking at people like, did I say that out loud?
No,
No.
or it's like somebody asked you something and
Right.
you're like, you say that again for me. Because what happens to me too, also, like a lot of times I just have like a lot of stuff in my brain, and I've accepted it because I feel like it helps me to be creative and to think outside the box and do all these different things. But it
Mhm.
can be very distracting and not allow me to be like in the present
Sure.
and be present,
Yeah.
But then it's a really great coping mechanism when a conversation is taking place that I don't want to be a part of.
Uh-huh.
I just
You
leave.
just out of there,
I have just left my body.
huh? What was that cartoon growing up? Snagglepuss, exit stage right? Like, he be
Out,
out.
just out. But I'm doing really good. The weather has cleared up here in New York. I went
Mhm.
outside like maybe twice. I went for walks. I've been going for walks since the weather
Look at
has cleared up.
you. Okay.
Yeah, and I there's like this waterfront close to where I live, so it's just like a
Hmm.
really like a lot of people. If I go for a walk or a jog, I jog in slow motion. Although, like to me, I be running right, I be running hard, but to the
Absolutely.
people that are watching, I'm jogging
Hmm.
in slow motion.
That's okay. That's okay. You got to
Yeah,
do you.
yeah. Um, but
Tell them you've been running for Jesus a long time and you're not tired yet.
not
Okay.
tired.
You're not tired.
So I've been outside a couple of times, and I even went outside and let my ankles out.
I left the ankles out.
That's when I know the weather is changing. Like, because
How
I
did
don't like any bit of my body being cold.
Wow.
So
You just
normally it's cold. Like I got the boots on that's like at least mid calf,
right, right. S-
lots
s-
of socks and stuff.
y'all, missionary Keisha out here with ankles out, out in
Well,
out in the streets.
I think the missionary has departed the building with the cold because the way these yoga pants are set up,
Well,
buddy, my ankles be out. And then today, I was like, the second day in a row that
yeah,
it's warm. So I put on another pair that I don't know what you call that space between your ankle and your calf, but that little bit of flesh
uh-huh. Hmm.
that was out today.
Look at you being risque.
So I love, the weather's changing. It's been sunny.
Right.
Finally, my course got published on Skillshare.
Congratulations, that's what's up.
You're in it.
What? What? Oh my gosh! Air horns! Bum, 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 bum. Oh,
So,
wait a minute. Dope black woman?
oh,
Dope black woman doing what?
dope black women things.
There you go. We got to keep that living. I like it. I like it.
Yeah. So if you're listening or if you know somebody that wants to create their own podcast, this course lets you do that and it's free. So if you click on the link in my IG bio, you'll get a link that'll give you 14 days free on Skillshare. I'm gonna stop saying their names because they're not sponsoring us. Um,
I mean,
but
but
you're in it because I kind of talked about, why would it make sense to have a co-host? I talked
wow.
about being able to have conversations with your co-host, but also I was like, my co-host got like mad skills when it comes to graphics, so I don't got to worry about that. He takes care of it.
Oh, Lord, I ask you right now, Lord, bless me with motivation in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Because
Oh man.
like a lot of times people will want to create a graphic for their podcast, and they either need to come up with it themselves or they need to hire someone. And so again, because like we vibe and we understand what our goals are and what we want to do, it makes sense. A lot of people have been telling me how much they enjoy listening to our banter and watching it at times.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Real quick,
um
if that's you, like, subscribe, you know what I'm saying?
Write a
Come on now.
review. But yeah, so I was just like, if you're gonna choose a co-host, choose one that makes sense, that not only you do great things on air, but behind the scenes, like you each bring something to the table. So I was
Absolutely.
talking about you on the podcast, and it's got a little like
Hmm.
snippet of us doing the thing and whatever.
I appreciate that.
So yeah, so I've been pretty good.
Excellent. Well, I
How
mean, are you? Let me stop. Go ahead. You were about to say something.
I was gonna say, how are you, my friend?
Oh my gosh, Dr. Keisha. Number one, I'm blessed and highly favored. Hallelujah.
Wait. Don't forget what you about to say. Have you ever met somebody or know somebody that they waiting for you to ask how they do it? They've been waiting for it. Like that's what just happened.
Mm,
All
that
right,
was
go.
it. That was it. I listen. I'm doing really well, but I'm surprised you talked about you're doing good, everything's going, and you did not mention that this past was it Monday? That was the 8th, International Women's Day. Hello, and I know that you do a lot of work typically, around women's issues, but International Women's Day is big for you, and I'm just noticing the shades in your dress and on your lips, and I'm thinking purple. I know purple's one of the colors for that particular day in the movement. So real quick, I believe you did do something around Women's International Day. Like I
I
did, I see
did.
something.
Yeah, man.
Right.
I love Women's Day. I
Yeah.
love Women's Day. I think I said this in the last episode. I went on a little rant about this from the Cosby Show when Claire Huxtable is like,
Oh,
honey, it's Women's Day.
I
That's
got you.
literally
Yep.
how I wake up every March 8th. It's Women's Day.
Well, well,
But
listen.
yeah, I usually we gather.
Yeah.
I believe that women should gather on Women's Day, but that couldn't happen. And it was an interesting day because there was some sadness that I experienced.
Mm,
Um, and I experienced it that Sunday the 7th and the 8th. So the Sunday would have been like a year ago, right? So March 8th was on a Sunday last year.
hmm.
And so that was the last time that I went to church and
Ah,
like ministered and sang and stuff like that. And then after the church, we met up, a group of us, for Women's Day. We usually meet up someplace in Brooklyn and hang out. And then the city shut down that Wednesday or Thursday.
mm,
So it was a reminder that it's a year since we've been in this panorama,
right, right, right.
right?
Yeah.
And
I
so
mean,
this so Sunday I actually ended up at the church to record some stuff for Easter. And so it was just like this the building's empty. There's like six of us in here. And it's a building that holds thousands of people.
yeah.
Um, but then went to brunch with some lovely people after and just had a blast with them. But we did do a Facebook Live. It's still up on my Facebook, where I just hung out with a couple friends. We announced my Dope Black Woman t-shirt. We talked
Nice.
about the podcast course. And then another friend of mine, she's launching a course
Okay.
to teach women how to become consultants. So
Oh, that's really dope.
how to take your skills that you do in your 9 to 5 and parlay it into a consulting gig or into your own thing. And she's
Yeah.
giving away 100 scholarships to Black women.
Wow, that's really, really fantastic. I'm
Yeah.
excited to hear that. In fact, like, I immediately know some people. I'm like, you need to go listen to our podcast, get these details, and
Yeah.
go take this course because
Yeah.
I mean, why not? Listen, we're supposed to be like sticking the news, but I'm excited to hear this because here's the thing. and we'll get to this maybe even later with some other topics, but you know, it is such a great time to pour into yourself, to invest in yourself, and to really leverage all of these skills that you've worked so hard to cultivate and start to use those tools to benefit you and your family. Like
Yeah.
I'm all for it. That's excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Shout out to your friend.
Yeah, so her name is
Seriously.
Naya the Creative. You can find her on IG or you can find her via my page. She is actually the latest episode of my Misadventures podcast because she's a digital nomad. We're all over the place and we need to get back to you. Sister's a digital nomad and just spent the
Yep.
last year and change in Thailand, chilling in Thailand, but also just like making all kinds of money doing what she does
Yeah.
digitally, right? So she does the thing, she knows how to do the thing, and she's giving it away to her course. So check out my IG and you can connect to her that way or send us a message and I'll connect you with the application so that you know you can get on that. But
Oh,
that's what the program on Women's Day was about. We just
excellent.
come out with each other. And one of the funny things, we were talking about some of our favorite women, and we
Yeah.
talked about Felicia Rashad.
Oh,
And
come on. I love her.
we were like, Felicia Rashad could read the mail to us and we would be happy.
Is it? Is it bad that I would so love to go on a date with her? Just like spend time with her, be in her presence. Just like you said, like I just want to hear something from her, just be in her presence, yo. That'd be dope. That would be super, super dope just to get to spend that
Yeah,
time.
no, one of the last things that we did last year in February at the 92nd Street Y here in New York, and that's where my whole dope black woman thing came from. It was this feeling that I had when I left that place. You know, I was talking about as black people, a lot of times most of us, some of us, not most of us, because you know, we're not a monolith, but a lot of us can be the only black person in a space a lot of times, or
Ooh,
one of a
come on.
few.
Come
So
on.
when we have the opportunity to gather and to be surrounded by a lot of other black people, it is so affirming, and it's like being wrapped in a warm blanket
Mm.
and given some hot chocolate or something. Like I don't know, like just a love. And so the feeling that I left, so so we'd gone to this reading, Felicia Rashad and this actor, his name is Andre Holland.
Okay.
He's very nice chocolatey man.
Here we go
um
again. Sydney Portier, anybody? Yeah.
and
And
so they read from Toni Morrison's, I think the book is called The Source of Self-Regard, I think that's the name of the book. But they did these readings from it.
mhm.
And so it was just an evening of Felicia Rashad and this man reading.
Wow.
And it was just all these black people packed into the place. And so y'all go to my blog. And I have a blog post called Dope Black Women Doing Dope Black Women Things. And I talk about when you enter a space and black women are just like complimenting each other and seeing all the different shades and beauty and just feeling amazing and wonderful in those spaces.
Yeah.
That's the feeling that I had that night. And it's one of the last things that we did from 2020 as well. So yeah, I understand why you would want to spend time with Felicia Rashad. Man, she strolled out to that stage. She just, oh my God. Okay, okay. Sorry.
She ain't even got to put her ankles out. I'm like,
Yeah. She don't got to show ankle.
oh man. Well, listen. Thank you so much for
Thank you
sharing.
for highlighting the Women's Day. I appreciate you.
Absolutely, and just making sure that I amplify you because we'll get through the show and you'll get to talk about what you're doing. Very proud of the work that you've done. So excellent, excellent, excellent. Yeah, I've been good since we last recorded. I mean, there's crazy stuff always going on in the world, but one of the things that's really gotten me through lately is having the opportunity to go and watch you all react to watching Coming to America. And I finally watched it over the weekend. Oh my gosh, wait a minute. What am I
What?
talking about? Oh, I watched it over the weekend, but you all, I got my first round of the vaccine on Sunday. I had to drive
Okay.
4 hours to do it, but
What?
we had to listen.
So, okay. If things go according to plan, I'll be getting my first round in a couple of days as well.
Woohoo.
Um, but 4 hours.
Yeah, so I'm in Austin. We had to go to a town called Silsbee, Texas. That's east of Houston, like
You went to
four
East.
hours out into nowhere. Yeah, so we drove all the way out there to get the vaccine. Yeah.
East Texas isn't safe.
It no, listen, we passed through a place that people had flagpoles, and on the flagpole is the American flag, Trump flag, rebel flag. I kid you not. Like on on a number of how I don't mean like, oh, here's one there. I mean like
No, East Texas
literally.
is just not a safe place.
No, it was crazy. So when I tell you I was praying, I was like, Lord, please, no flat tires, no nothing. I was trying to drive the
Keep the
speed
gas
limit.
tank full.
This is like I don't need these problems. So he's a keeper. And
Okay. So you
but
got the first round.
yeah,
Do you know which one you got?
yeah, yeah, Pfizer. Wound up with
And did you
Pfizer.
have any symptoms after the first
That's
one?
no, like I felt great. The only thing for us both, so me and my girl, like we're both pretty active, but our arms were just a little bit sore at the injection site. But like the next day, like I got up and did my normal routine. Like, I mean, I felt great.
I'm scared of needles.
Just don't look like hers, like she didn't even feel hers. And I feel like she tends to be definitely more like aware of things than what I am. So she was like, no, I really didn't feel mine.
Oh God.
So
Okay.
yeah,
I'm pretty depressed. Okay.
yeah.
If y'all hear a story in the news of a woman that lost it,
Ah,
she went to get hers.
we'll say a prayer for you before we wrap it
Yes.
up
Yes,
today.
please. Um, so you didn't have symptoms because someone I know got the first round and had some symptoms, which was different from what I've been hearing all along, is that a lot of people have been getting symptoms from the second round.
That's
Um,
what I heard. Yeah.
yeah, so I'm glad that you got that. And because your governor opened the floodgates. He said, let it rain.
Yeah, right. Corona. Let it
Open
rain.
the
Corona.
floodgates of Corona. Like he
You know,
just opened up Texas, say y'all don't gotta wear no mask.
listen, it was crazy. The memes that were going around though, y'all, I love the Lord. Y'all really tried to get me with some of the memes y'all sent to me. I don't even know if I could tell y'all about them without y'all judging me. Can I tell them about it without them judging me? You think I could tell
I
them?
don't know if they're gonna judge you, but I think you should tell.
Listen, I don't know if y'all know it, Lord. Please forgive people. Our governor is in a wheelchair. And so they were sending memes around and it said, I'll stop wearing the mask when he stopped needing the wheelchair. Um, there was one,
Wait,
I
why is he
know,
in a wheelchair? He need like
I don't know what, I'm
he
not sure
always
what
been in
happened
a
to him.
wheelchair?
I think he may have been in an accident like years and years ago. Like he's
Oh,
been in the chair
guys,
for a
that's
while.
not okay.
That's what they said.
That's not okay. Whoever
It's
they are, it's always they. Listen here, they. That's not okay.
they is the internet. It came through the memes, right? So that was one of them. And then another one was like, what? Like something about, well, I'm not surprised that he said that because, some people don't stand for anything.
Okay, we're not gonna do this.
I,
I'm
I
just
know.
not
I'm
gonna
just
allow
telling
you
you.
to
That's
do
what they
this.
said. I'm just telling you that's what they said. So that y'all tried to get me sending me that stuff, but I didn't reshare or
I'm
repost
glad
nothing.
you didn't.
You got to draw a line. You have to draw a line. And the thing is, if any of y'all are out there judging me, stuff come across your phone from time to time. You giggle for a second, you be like, "That's not right." That's like Gorilla Glue, Tessica.
Listen,
Okay,
I heard she got some new teeth or something.
I can't do it. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not
Sis,
gonna do.
sis is living her best life. But anyway, come
Anyways,
back
right?
to coming
Yeah.
to America.
Yeah, so I got to watch Coming to America over the weekend. Thank you.
Uh,
She is fiery
Alexa is
today.
talking to him. It is hilarious. I can't stand that girl, Alexa. She always got to chime in. Nobody's talking to you.
She said, "Take a look at your help section."
How
But
does I leave her in the kitchen?
uh, what was that? Okay, Coming to America, friend. Coming to America. I went into this with no expectations. Like when they said they were doing this, I was like, it's going to be whatever it's going to be. I was seeing all the comments. People were like mad, not having it. I finally got to watch it, and I have to tell you, um, for me, it entertained me for the time that it did over the weekend. I don't ever need to watch it again.
I think I need to watch it again because I might have missed some stuff. I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed like the fashion and the dancing. I enjoyed the musical numbers.
It's all
Um,
beautiful.
I liked how they reused some of the lines in a sort of like tongue-in-cheek kind of way.
Hmm.
But I get why people don't like it and why people are saying that it's trash and all these other things. Like I get it, but I also think that maybe our expectations were slightly off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because honestly, was the first Coming to America that great in terms
Well, I
of
think
production and all of that, right? It was funny, but was it all, but and now we're much more sophisticated consumers of videos and movies and content. So the stuff that we thought was cool when we were like 10, 12, like we shouldn't have been watching it anyway.
hmm
Um, however old we were, and even growing up watching it over time, that's not who we are today. So them doing it like that, it wasn't gonna fly for us. And I think but I respect, I feel like they did it, you can see that it was a labor of love, and I
right.
respect that. And
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting, it was entertaining. Like I would have done a couple things differently. And then I
Yeah.
really think the thing that made Come the original really funny was him navigating America.
Right.
And so the fact that like this much, a little bit of the movie was in America, like it just wasn't, it didn't hit the same way. My favorite scene, um, gosh, I don't want to spoil it for anyone. My favorite scene was the last scene. That's all I'm gonna say.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And
I
if
would.
you watch it, don't watch, don't stop, don't turn it off until the screen goes black because the outtakes are hilarious.
Yeah. I ditto exact. Like I have the same, like the exact same sentiment you do, and I would agree. They could have called it "Coming to Zamunda," and that would have been probably more fitting. And I agree with you on the idea. It was just good to see, like, really getting to see James Earl Jones for me. That was like winner. And there's some people that made some cameos. I was like, oh, look at
It was a lot
her.
of cameos. It was a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah.
There was a lot of product placement.
Wow, you're right. Now that I kind of think back, I missed that. Ooh,
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't want to do any spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen it
right.
yet. But y'all hit us up and let us know what you thought
Yeah,
about Coming to America.
for sure, for sure. So I guess if y'all hit us up, we'll go ahead and keep the show moving. And I guess it's up for church news. Are we good for that?
Yep, let's get into these announcements.
Da 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 in the church announcement. So right now we're gonna call Sister Keisha to the floor. You know they pull that little podium up. Why do they? It's the deacon get up, pull the podium out, and then that sister comes strutting up there in that church business leader suit. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. She got 5 pages of notes, all handwritten. Like why? Why?
Yeah, I feel like at the church I grew up as I always call it Caribbean church. At Caribbean church, they just read stuff out of the bulletin, which is like we already. Because one time I was like the secretary at Caribbean church for a little bit, and it take forever to print them 8 pages. And I'm like, we don't put all this stuff in there. There's a whole slideshow happening. Somebody got to come read this too. Y'all serious right now? Caribbean church?
Number one, y'all already know who coming to Bible study. You already know who coming to church meeting and who ain't coming.
Nobody.
Why?
We in a panorama. Good grief. Let's get to these announcements. They wouldn't put me to do the announcements because the announcements would be 2 seconds flat. You got your bulletin, read it.
You got your see there. See that. You gotta have a giving spirit, Dr. Keisha.
Okay, well, Brother Vernon Jordan has passed on, so RIP to him. Um, I don't know a whole lot about him. I just remember him being a very trusted advisor of former President Bill Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so it was interesting. I feel like he helped Bill Clinton navigate a lot of difficult, poor choices. I was gonna say difficult situation, but poor choices. The fallout from the poor choices, I should say. Let me say that. Let me say that. So I don't know if he was down with the shenanigans, but I feel like he
I'm so
helped.
sorry.
What?
We were just talking about this. It is so funny to watch somebody's face because your face and your mouth is like, I know where I'm going with this, but your brain was like, on second thought.
Don't say that. Do you ever talk to yourself? When I talk to myself, I call myself Keish. I'll be like, Keish, girl, don't say that. What you call yourself?
Oh my gosh. No, I call myself by my proper name. It,
Wait, do
and
you call
most,
yourself Kyron Green? Like, do you like call out all, what's your middle name? Do you like,
I'm not going to put my middle name out.
oh man.
No, I am not.
What's the initial? What's the initial?
If I tell you the initial, you're still not going to get it.
But still, what's the initial?
E?
So do you be like Kyron E. Green? Do
No.
you do that? No. You said your full name.
Well, first, it's a T, not an E.
A T?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All
So
right,
no,
Tommy.
I
Ain't
don't
got
say.
no job. No, I'm playing. You
I
got a
mean,
job.
it's about what I seem like, though. Because he always at home working from home. I
Just
don't
at the
know.
house all the time.
No, I just say my first name. No, I say my first name proper. I'll be like, Kyron. Yeah.
What you talking about, sis?
Oh.
But anyway, I think, and a lot of people credited him a lot. Like I remember seeing him a lot, in the news and stuff like that. But I don't really know a whole lot. Can you tell us a little bit more about what he did and stuff? Okay, go.
Oh. Hold on.
This is a RIP. Like, why? Why?
Listen, I'm sorry. It's you taking me out today. So he was the former president of the National Urban League, and he rose to prominence as a civil rights activist with close connections in all corners of American politics. Of course, like you said, he was closest with Democrats, including Presidents Lyndon B. Johnson and Barack Obama. He also worked with Republican President Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, and George W. Bush. So he was always there. He was somebody that believed a lot in interacting with young people. And then it says that he was also born in August 15th in 1935. He grew up in the segregated South and graduated from DePaul University in Indiana in 1957. And I got to tell you something, if you graduating from any school in Indiana in 1957, I
57.
am sure you are very familiar with oppression and overcoming.
Yeah, yeah,
He,
yeah.
he had to have majored in.
Y'all, help my co-host.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So
I'm sorry.
RIP to Vernon Jordan. Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think, I think about that. Sometimes we can think about the accomplishments of people and he stood there with the former president and all these other things. But I think even before he got there, like you said, the fact that he graduated in 1957 from a school in Indiana, that, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
I admire people like that who go through because you go through like a lot of stuff graduating from certain schools or living in certain places.
Mm-hmm.
And then you still fight for other people. You still help other people overcome and stuff like that. So,
Right.
because sometimes you just be tired and know.
You're tired, and then I think another interesting aspect of kind of like who he was as a person. He also he had a career also in the corporate world. He served on the board of directors for several different American corporations. And so when you think about this upbringing, what he had to go through in school, he had this opportunity to lead these different corporations, but he always had a tie to civil rights. And I think that one of the things that sometimes gets lost when we're thinking about our contributions to society is that to some degree, we're all dealing with something. And I think especially for high achieving African Americans, to excel in to excel in this society in general and still find the compassion, the patience and the skill set to push for change from people who are really not where you would want to see them at as it relates to race, that is a taxing work. And so I just want to shout him out, shout his family out, to everybody out there that's making a difference in the world. I understand that it's frustrating and I know that it's hard, but I want to thank you so much for the work that you're doing. And for people like that to pray for their patience, pray for their compassion, pray for their mind, because I just couldn't imagine. I couldn't
Yeah,
imagine.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, that's one thing that we had. The other thing that came up today was that Minneapolis has set a settlement. They have voted. So the city of Minneapolis will pay the estate of George Floyd $27 million after the city council on Friday unanimously voted to settle a lawsuit with his family.
Wow. Wow.
George Floyd's brother, Felonice Floyd, said that he would return the settlement millions if it meant he could see his brother again.
Wow.
I thank the state of Minnesota for getting this settlement taken care of, but even though my brother is not here, he's here with me in my heart, because if I could get him back, I would give all of this back. And he took a moment to thank the protesters who supported the family, especially during the height of the pandemic this past summer. He also called for peace, bless his heart.
Wow.
But so it's interesting, I think, the timing, because I feel like I read somewhere that the trial for that officer started this week.
Yeah.
So I know someone actually sent me that and was like, so are they doing this because they know that the justice system isn't going to get it right?
Yeah, my computer just decided to do its own thing. My bad.
What happened?
It was playing a video on the news feed I was reading.
Oh, so
Yeah.
somebody sent this to me and they were like, so did they decide to give the settlement because they already know that they're not going to get it right in terms of the trial?
Wow.
And mind you, like, so I don't know. I don't know. That I just wanted to share that with folks because, you know, a lot of times people get on folks who get out there and protest or who get on the TV and say certain things. And again, back to people who stand up for others that have nothing to do with them. You know, unless you stress the system or push the envelope, folks aren't going to respond.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So shout out to everybody who finds a place to stand in this movement and they do so firmly, whether it be on the front lines or writing a letter or signing a petition or whatever it is. I always say that I try not to judge people's expression of resistance.
Oh, that's good.
Because although it might not be what I choose to do or what I'm capable of doing, it doesn't mean that they shouldn't or that it's greater than or less than what I'm doing. And so I feel like, you know, for whatever this means, it's like, okay, well, they're giving them all this money, but it's still, he's not here. And we're still faced with the reality of that. I just kind of want to say that to folks. But side note, somebody sent this to me randomly in the text, right?
Yeah.
And was actually, they didn't send me this letter. They didn't send me the article. I'm gonna tell you what they sent me.
What are they?
And I hope you listen, because sometimes it takes them a while to get to the podcast. So wait. Okay. She goes, occur Black and saved. This is my private text message. This is a friend of mine.
Here we go.
A friend like I've known for years. So they want to offer us 27 mil pre-trial settlement. What y'all covering up or trying to dodge? Do we take the money or go to trial? I was like, what? Like, I'm sitting in my house minding my business, and that's the text I get. And I was just like, what? And then she sent me the article, and I said, okay, because you had me confused with your mid-conversation, right? And then she's like, it's the way I just dive in with no context.
Right.
Like, okay, I'm glad you recognize this because this happens all the time. I'm glad you, because sometimes you be having me questioning my like intellectual capability to follow a conversation. Just gonna dive in. Anyway, right. I just wanted to tell you how I came about that information today.
Right. There's no warning. There's nothing to.
There's nothing.
I'm going to jump right to something deep.
Yeah.
Right?
Just boom.
Oh.
And not even just something, just like mid-sentence, not like, hey, this news just came out.
Right.
It's a conclusion to the news.
Your friend has summed it up and just moved right. It's actually prophesying.
Right. And she's like, okay, say amen. You're not going to say amen? Don't you hate when pastors do that? Maybe I'm
Ooh.
not saying amen because I don't agree with you,
Hey,
sir.
listen, I'm about to say, yeah, because I don't agree with you because you said something that was not scriptural. So I'm
Right.
not gonna sit here and say amen. No.
Anyway, I'm sorry, y'all. We diverted. Did you want to say anything about the settlement?
Yeah, I want to be as optimistic as I can. Like, like seriously, there are some things that are going on. I know at least there. I know there was the banning of chokeholds. I think they're looking to redirect like 7 point something million from the police budget to other programs. They have a fund that's going to be geared towards health programs, trying to do things that increase capacity within the Civil Rights Department office of the police conduct review to investigate complaints about police. Like those things are happening, and then like I see this particular settlement, and like as relieved as I am for the family that they'll be able to put some things in place for them to safeguard those children. Um, and like the weight of this is just hitting me now, but I'm so thankful for those things. But I just go, but yet a black man is still dead.
A
and
child
and
still doesn't have her father.
and unfortunately, before this year is even up, there'll likely be another. And I don't know, like how many settlements, how many policies do we have to do before we really turn the corner on this? And I don't say that to sound pessimistic. I mean, there's a realist side of me, and I'm hit with that sobering reality, and then it leads me back to what you said a while ago, wow, it leads me back to what you said a minute ago, and I hope that people listen to this, and that people that listen to this podcast, that you will use your circle of influence to amplify this idea, which is encourage people to fight with the tools that they have. Some people, marching is their thing. For some of us, maybe that we've gone to school and we have platforms and we're really good with our words. I am literally about to cry, y'all, because it's resting on me. Like, we have to fight like hell for what we want to see. And I really do. I want to preach your word. I want to exhort people to use the tools you have to fight the fight that we have to fight, not the fight that you want to fight, but the fight that we've got to fight. And, I'm again excited for them for the settlement, but there's still a part of me that is pissed off. I don't
Yeah.
want to lose it. I don't want to lose any more brothers. I
No.
don't want to lose any more sisters. I'm tired, you know?
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
feel you, and that's real. So speaking of brothers and sisters,
Brothers and sisters.
Sister Beth Moore,
Beth Moore.
and a lot of people like Beth Moore because she be teaching about the Bible and stuff.
Your tone.
What? It's the truth.
You're right. I'm not disagreeing. You're right. She teaches about
Like,
the Bible.
if you want to talk about superstar Bible teachers, and not that she tries, I don't think she tries to be. I don't follow her very closely, but anytime I've seen her function, it's just like a regular person. You know what I'm saying? But you know how people make superstars out of people and really lift them up or whatever.
For sure.
Anyway, I saw it came up actually on my news thing on my phone, and then I went under Twitter. And it says that Bible teacher Beth Moore is splitting with Lifeway, which is her publisher.
Hmm.
She says, I am no longer a Southern Baptist. The famed Bible study teacher says she no longer feels at home in the denomination that once saved her life. They said for nearly 3 decades, she's been the very model of a modern Southern Baptist. Um, and she said she criticized the former, there's somebody who I know that calls him the 46 minus 1 president. She says, I am still a Baptist, but I can no longer identify with Southern Baptists. I love so many Southern Baptist people, so many Southern Baptist churches, but I don't identify with some of the things in our heritage that haven't remained in the past. She also ended her her long-time publishing partnership with Nashville-based Lifeway Christian. They'll still distribute her books, but it will no longer publish them or administer her live events. And so I think she's spoken out a lot about some of the racist things that have come out of the Southern Baptist Convention Church people things. And she's been very vocal. I've seen her be very vocal on Twitter. Maybe I follow her on Twitter. I don't know. Or maybe I just Googled her on Twitter. You can't Google people on Twitter, can you? You just sort of like search on Twitter. My bad, y'all.
Yeah.
But she's been vocal, and like a lot of people, that's like, we know, right? Like a lot of white Christians have not been vocal about this, and she has been. And so she's made that decision. So shout out, sis. Come hang out over here with us. We don't really know where here is, but you welcome.
Absolutely. I know they stopped publishing you at Lifeway, but you can come over here and jump on Anchor/Spotify with us.
Listen, Beth Moore ain't hurting for nothing from nobody. She gonna be all right. That's just gonna be all right.
I mean, I need people, like, I don't know how many people are, let me see, are familiar with her. But like in 2016, I mean, her ministry reportedly like 15 million.
Whoa.
Okay. Like this, she is over there really, really making moves. And, you know, one of the interesting things that comes to mind when I think about the story, Dr. Keisha, is that, you know, a few episodes back, the idea of misogyny, you know, really came up, and we were talking about that. And that's one of the issues that she voiced having, you know, kind of with the conference, and hoping they would move away from that. And here's a story that's so interesting to me, is that in this particular denomination, there's a lot of uproar going on around racism, sexism. And it's so interesting that the people that the denomination most seems to look down upon are the people stepping up and showing the most strength. And that is such an interesting juxtaposition to me. And so here it is, this woman who has this incredible ministry, to which, you know, they wouldn't even really refer to the fact that she was quote unquote preaching. It was very intentional that they said, well, she's a teacher. You know, she teaches the word. And, you know, it's just, I don't know, it's so interesting to me that we see things on display, and it's the things that we see on display in the stories that they tell. We often create purity tests made to drive people out that usually just shows the sin that's driven within. Isn't that crazy to you?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's the white way.
you just don't.
I'm on one today, huh?
Wow. Okay.
Listen, I
So,
just found some tweets from sis. I want to read to you.
oh, let's go. Let's go.
June 14th, 2020. The current state of America evangelicalism is what we get when the gospel is reduced to an entrance exam instead of a whole way of living,
Wow.
serving, loving, and self-giving. The point of discipleship and Bible study is to grow in relationship with Christ and in resemblance to Christ. American evangelicalism needs to file a missing persons report. We have lost Jesus.
Wow. Well,
That we have somehow managed in the middle of global pandemic and a worldwide outcry for justice in America to consume ourselves with theological armchair debates over critical race theory and the like is the testimony of how far we have shifted from Jesus Christ of Nazareth.
speak, Beth.
Beth, we like you. You know, you can hang out over here with us. Wherever here is, like I said, we don't know where we at, really. That brings up some, I mean, I think the story with Beth brings us some interesting things in terms of our Try Jesus segment. So now might be a good, oh wait, let's not go to Try Jesus yet.
Okay, what we gonna do? What?
Sick and Shut In.
Oh my gosh, how did I almost let that get by me? How? Listen, Dr. Keisha, you know, it's
What is
okay.
it? The antithesis of Beth is going
It
to
is
be the antithesis. That word is so interesting to me. The
Oh,
antithesis,
and go
antithesis,
ahead, you go get it. You
the
go get it.
antithesis of Beth is going to be what's this? What's her name? What? Latoya? What's her name?
Y'all, let me tell y'all about elementary school teacher Carla Lassiter. Carla Lassiter.
Carla with a K.
Carla, listen, Carla with a K. And if you Google her, this picture, anyway, Carla Lassiter made a 5-year-old Black student clean feces out of the toilet with his bare hands. She stated she doesn't know why she doesn't know why she made him do it. This was at Crystal Hill Elementary
Where
in
she
North
live?
Little Rock.
She live
Listen,
close to your mama house?
you actually,
Cause I ain't never been to Arkansas, but I'm ready to go.
oh, honestly,
I
she,
don't want her on the sick and shut in list. Needs to
what?
put their behinds list.
What is going on in the world?
She don't
Talk,
know why she did it.
talking about some she don't know. Like, ma'am, ma'am.
The point of the sick and shut in list is to extend some kind of grace to people. Maybe, nah. Maybe we need to rethink the purpose of the sick and shut in list.
I
Because
mean,
this is sick. This is literally sick.
I mean, I don't have I don't have words, right? Like, I mean, the parents are quoted, saying the things like the kid has been traumatized, and that,
Who let this monster into the classroom?
well, listen,
Because heads would be rolling. Hey, if y'all are related to this kid, hit me up.
like,
I'm gonna help y'all mount just like a campaign against all the people.
and the thing is, I don't know, like, I couldn't find anything to say like, oh, this is what, like, that it was
There's
provoked
no reason. How can you what like there's nothing in this world or the next.
or the one yet to come.
The one that was and is to come.
Yeah,
There is nothing.
take us here, huh?
Nothing
That
that
can
would
separate.
explain or justify having a child, having an adult, having any, like, what?
Like,
Nah, I'm ready to fight.
I don't understand. And so
I just
the
felt my
teacher,
pressure go up.
so the Pulaski County Special School District did release a statement, but listen to this,
What they say.
trash. The teacher involved in the incident at Crystal Hill Elementary remains on administrative leave, and the district has initiated the legal process under the Arkansas Teacher Fair Dismissal Act to separate the employment relationship. This provides a teacher a hearing before the district board of directors prior to any final employment action. Since this incident remains a personnel matter, the district cannot comment any further. It is
Okay.
always our best intent to put the safety and well-being of our students at a top priority. The district will work to ensure that its mission of equity and excellence is upheld by all professional staff at all times. It seems like to me y'all had a pretty major flop.
Nah. You know what? Nah. You know what I'm hoping that means? A lot of
What does that
times
mean?
teachers mess up and they'll fire them immediately. And then that gives the teacher cause to come back and sue the district because they were wrongfully terminated by the way that they were
Mhm,
terminated. So it's sounding like
mhm.
they're taking the extra steps to make sure that they terminate her correctly so that she doesn't come back and do that, but also that she's not able to come back and be employed by them. I'm hoping that's what that means. Otherwise, Unified Special School District, whatever y'all's name is, putting y'all on the list.
Put them on the list too.
But I don't
Yes.
want her on the list.
I have to, as you know what, like for real, though,
Y'all gonna
say a
stop
prayer for this.
treating these Black kids bad. Like, ooh.
Say a prayer for that kid's parents, because I know it's got to be taking a lot for them to not simply go completely OFF.
And you know what? This is probably not a single incident, and this is probably not. It may. I'm sure there were indicators that this person didn't belong in the classroom. So y'all go ahead and sue them too.
Wow.
Because you don't just wake up one day and be a regular teacher and then be like, oh, go scoop that poop out. Like, no. Like, that doesn't happen.
Wow.
What are you reading? Your mouth is like wide open.
Wow. So, okay. So I'm reading this other one, and it's talking about, a 5-year-old black kindergarten student was made to unclog a toilet full of feces with his bare hands after he was accused of using too much toilet paper. Excuse me?
They don't got no janitors at that school? Where was the janitor? Put him on the list.
This child was trying to clean up the dirty zone. Okay?
I don't want to. This is disgusting. I don't.
Let the kid be clean. What is wrong with that? That's all I got.
That's why I always say, if I had a kid, I would homeschool my kid.
Yeah.
I would not put my kid out there for people to mess with them. Because I would be on the news or in the penitentiary.
Wow.
Because, nah.
Yeah, let the record show. I truly, truly love the Lord, but please don't mess with my child. I cannot guarantee what I will not do. I don't know. I don't know. That's all I got for Sick and Shut In, my friend.
Yeah, man. All right, let's talk about Try Jesus.
I mean,
hey, y'all, thanks for sending us messages on IG and then on the Instagrams and stuff. One thing that someone sent, they sent us a message. This is from Alicia via IG. She said, hey, I am watching The Soul of a Nation. They asked the question, when did you recognize the first time you knew you were Black? Maybe of interest to you, the first time you battled with race and religion or that it could conflict? Just a thought. Thanks, Alicia. So I looked up this Soul of a Nation thing because I was like, did I miss something?
right.
And at first I thought it was that documentary that I had told you to watch and I didn't watch with Henry Louis Gates.
I'm just shaking my head.
And I sat down like, let me find this thing. But apparently it's a special series or something that's being played on ABC News or ABC or something like that. And so I watched a little preview of it. But what really struck me, and I can't really speak to the content of it.
Yeah.
But what really struck me, I thought about this when we were talking about the whole Beth Moore thing, is the move of major networks to start, I guess, producing relevant content or trying to unpack some of these things. And so I just wonder if it's like, I'm like, why, right? Like, is it because of everything that happened last summer? Is it because you've grown a conscience? Is it because you realize that this content actually is profitable to do? Or is it because your Black employees are like, this is what we want to be covering, this is what we want to be doing? Because I noticed that, I believe the gentleman that was leading it, he's Black. But I thought it was an interesting question in terms of when did you know you were Black? Yeah. As well as the question of like, when did you realize that your Blackness was an issue in terms of religion? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Ooh, I mean, so these are two
Those are tough questions, right?
They are, but they're doable sadly, they're doable for me. And wow. Yeah, I'm sorry. They're doable for me, and it's two different events. You want me to tell you both? You want me to tell you the first one, and then you answer your first one, and then we do the religious one?
Whatever you want to do.
Okay, I think we should go back and forth.
Get that,
What's that?
I said whatever you like.
Oh.
But I ain't hopping on
I
draw the line somewhere.
So when did I first know that I was black? Oh, literally kindergarten.
Oh,
Kindergarten. So my birthday falls really, really weird, October 1st. And the way that it was, I was right at the end of, the class they would let in, the age they would let in for kindergarten. So even though I turned into one of the biggest people in my class, was the youngest person in my class. And I was in kindergarten and they said that I was like not keeping up, you know, and they told my mom, they're like, hey, we're going to need to hold your son back. And I remember to this day, my mom in that hallway, my mom, did some work in the schools and stuff too. She's a licensed social worker. My mom like got on one knee, put her hands on my shoulder, and she said, listen, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm not gonna let them start labeling you now. I refuse to accept that. You're gonna
mm,
be okay. And I don't know that I knew that it was because I was quote unquote black, but that day I remember I knew I'm different, right? But what my mom was able to do by taking that extra time with me and really starting to work with me, I knew that my different was good because I started like from then on, I outperformed most of my peers, and I went to a predominantly white school. So I was in the top of my class from then on out. And then I remember being a little bit older, probably around the age 10 or so, and playing at someone's house, and then having it told to me that I need to go home because they have people coming to town, and it was gonna something might be said that would be offensive, so I would go home. Yeah.
wow.
And so I knew that, and then had a great high school career playing basketball, excelling academically. Went to school, did the same thing. I was on an internship in Florida as a lifeguard in Disney World, right? Not expecting anything, and I was working on this big slide, water slide. Caucasian couple comes up. They go down the slide, and they had goggles on. It's one of those straight drop slides. And I said, "Hey, excuse me, will you all please take your goggles off? It's not safe. If the slide's not wet, that rubber band will catch. It'll pull your hair, rip skin. It is very unpleasant." And they just kept walking like I wasn't, was walk by me like I wasn't talking to us. I said, "Excuse me, hey, please take those off." And the guy turns to me and he goes, "We don't have to do anything you say, you effing dumb."
Mm,
When I tell you I saw red, I was gonna attack the guy, could not get down there fast enough. But I remember thinking in my head, I was so hurt because I thought, man, I've done everything that's been asked of me. I've never been in trouble. I've never been in jail. I've excelled at school. I've excelled at sports. I graduated from college. Um, I'm just a regular guy. And here I am just trying to give you advice to keep you safe. And it was at that moment that it clicked for me. And I talk about this in one of my episodes on one of my podcast episodes. I was like, wow, they're never going to stop moving the goalpost. It's never going to be good enough. And then when I
mm,
watched Barack Obama and I heard the things that people said about him, it was a reinforcement to me that there's a swath of this country that I will never be good for, no matter how I excel at the rules that they set.
mm.
Yeah.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
And I think what makes it even sadder for me is that you experienced that at such a young ages.
Mm, yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm sorry, friend.
It's okay.
It's not okay.
I
I,
mean,
I want to come fight. I want to fight. I be wanting to fight everybody. Oh my God. Let me calm down.
we got fighting Keisha in the house tonight, everybody. Line your bullets up. Keisha's here to whoop. Okay.
Well, I didn't experience a lot of things until I was like a full grown adult.
Hmm.
I grew up in a country that is predominantly black, and black and East Indian, and then like smaller pockets of different ethnicities. So East Indian meaning people from India.
Right. And, oh, I don't want to interrupt your story. Go
No,
ahead.
go ahead.
So how, but
Do you want to know why that was? why the country was made up like that racially?
I would like to know. I think I have a kind of an idea, but I'd like to know for sure. And then secondly, how did they see themselves just opposed to the rest of the population? Like, was there any type of ranking?
So it's complicated.
Yeah.
So the simple answer in terms of why the racial makeup of the country is like that is the British people that are still out here wreaking havoc on Black people. Y'all better leave Megan and little Archie alone.
Hello?
We didn't talk about it, but we watching y'all.
We watching.
William talking about we not a racist family. Y'all a racist country. That's all y'all know. You don't know how not to be racist. Stop.
It's literally in your DNA.
The reason why, and I could, a race scholar can probably correct me on this. The reason why racism exists is because y'all couldn't stay on y'all continent. Y'all had to go move all throughout the world and try to conquer peoples and subject them to your foolishness. And here we are today. Anyway, so
oh my gosh.
The current, like, so I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, and there's some history there in terms of like the French having control at one point, the Spanish at one point, and the British. Ultimately ended up being two British territories, Trinidad and Tobago, two different islands that became one country.
Yeah.
Right. So slavery. So no, before slavery, there were Native Americans. Amerindians is what they're called, American Indians. The main tribes on Trinidad were the Caribs and the Arawaks. Okay. Of course, Columbus discovered, and the reason why Trinidad is called Trinidad is because there's these three peaks of mountains that when he saw them, it reminded him of the Trinity. So a lot of people will refer to it as La Trinity, and those are called Trinity Hills. And so that's where the word Trinidad comes from. And so, killed off most of the natives as they did everywhere else. Brought the Africans to work the sugar plantations and whatever else. Once slavery was abolished, slavery was abolished in England before it was abolished in the US. They then brought in people from India as indentured servants. Okay. So that they would pay for your passage and different things like that. And you had to give them X amount of years of service because the Africans were no longer necessarily working the land. And then at some point, I believe they also brought over some Chinese people to the same effect, right? There are remnants of the Portuguese, of the Spanish, of the French descendants and British as well on the islands. And so those are smaller pockets of people. And so there's always this fight between those of African descent and those of Indian descent. That's the tension on the island a lot of the times, especially around politics and election time. But to me, the people who really control a lot of the financial resources and stuff in the island is this minority of white, for lack of a better term, right? So the white Portuguese and various descendants. And so it feels like there's a vested interest in keeping these two majority groups fighting each other. Yeah. Right. And so there's a lot of colorism in terms of if you're lighter skinned or darker skinned. And so you would experience that or see little bits and pieces of that. And then classism really is the major thing in the Caribbean, I think. I think race definitely does play a role in that, but it's really about what class you belong to. And the way that, I've always sort of made sense of it is that Black people, particularly Black people from the lower classes, they navigated and negotiated that by attaining education. Because once you attain education, you can kind of move up into a higher class.
Mm-hmm.
on the island. And so it's an interesting mix. And so you probably would, notice, I think as a child, probably notice the way people would talk about or think about lighter skinned kids.
Mm.
Um, but nothing very profound for me. Like, I don't know if other people had various experiences. And then when I came to New York, I came into a Caribbean community.
Yeah.
So from people from all over different islands, and then also around people that were of like Puerto Rican and Dominican heritage. So like Black and brown people, just being accustomed to sort of being around a lot of folks like that.
Mm.
Um, and even I think whenever I wouldn't be in spaces that were just like really very white. It would be very diverse, but racism in New York is interesting. It's just, so again, not any, I feel like I'm rambling, not any like distinct things from younger, but I think when I got to Texas, it was very clear. And so I think about two incidents. I think about one incident where we worked in a clinic where we saw clients, and
Yeah.
my supervisor he was an adjunct or part-time professor at the school, and I had a time set to meet with him for supervision, and he somehow screwed up that time, and I think I was upset about it. He screwed up the time and refused to meet with me at a particular time, and then met with another student in the time that met with another student, a white student, in the time that he was supposed to meet with me, and then try to turn it around like it was my fault, like I didn't show up when I was supposed to. And I was upset about it. And he done and said some things before that were, can you hear the sirens now? Do you hear the sirens now?
Yeah.
He done and said some things before that were off-putting, and I knew that we used to refer to him as OD, Oppressor Doyle. This Doyle was his real first name. Um, but something else happened in that clinic is that I was in session with a client. And the way the rooms are set up, there's a video camera in the room recording our sessions. And that's how we would get supervision. Our supervisors would look at it. And so there was a room in the clinic where you could go in and see who was in which rooms. There also was like a log that says who was in which rooms. And I was
Mhm.
mid-session, and one of my white male colleagues busted into the room.
Hmm.
And I was just like, yo, right? Of course, it was disruptive or whatever. And we talked about it in supervision. And I said, what he did there, that was pure white male privilege. And he was like, well, what do you mean? I was like, who else would do something like that? And then I was sort of explaining different things that I experienced since I've been in that particular program at that particular school. And he was like, well, you need to confront this person about this. You need to talk about this. And I was like, no, we're talking about it here. I'm good. Let's move on. He took that information and he went to the coordinators of the program with it, even though I asked him not to say anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were like, do you want to deal with this? And I was like, I already am struggling here as a Black woman. I don't want more attention on me.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm being singled out the way that this is being dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of like addressing that student or addressing students on a whole as to how they should get along with each other, why are you trying to make me, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I refused to do that. And he was upset about it, my supervisor. And he said, well, you got it. And I said, as a Black woman, I have to pick and choose my battles. I can't fight every time something happens. And I can't fight because you think that I should fight when I'm already being ostracized in this program.
Mm-hmm.
And so that had happened. So now we're late. He screwed up my schedule and a number of different things. And he said something to me in that session. He was like, you're clearly upset, so let's talk about it. And I said, I don't want to talk about it. I'm good. Do you want to sign my notes?
Mm-hmm.
You know, when Black women get silent about things. And he was like, Paul, we have to talk about it. And I was like, I'm good. By the time the story got back to the head of my program, I came in there yelling. I threw the files on the desk. I was disrespectful to him.
Hmm.
And so the next meeting I get is one to discipline me. And I said,
Mm.
whoa, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
I'm being disciplined for what? And it was interesting because I'd worked with some folks around that time who were like, Keisha, you write down everything that happens. So I wrote down all of my interactions with this man in a notebook with dates and times.
Mm-hmm.
And two other of my colleagues were also having similar issues with him. And there was a woman, the white woman, she was in the room when I entered, and I said to her, I said, hey, I'm about to be in trouble for this. Can you say that I didn't yell because you were there? And she was just like, no, I know you didn't do that, but I can't say anything. Um, and so, there's like a lot of back and forth. We met with the faculty. When I pulled out my notebook and I started reading out dates and times,
Mm-hmm.
they were like, oh.
Mm-hmm.
So they assigned me to a separate class. And then he continued with something else and they got rid of him altogether.
Mm.
Right. But what was really upsetting to me in that moment was you were willing to believe every stereotype about a Black woman when I'm a pretty soft spoken person. Even when I'm upset, like my voice just doesn't go.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't deal with upsetness that way. But you were willing to believe that from somebody.
Yeah.
Simply because I was a Black student in the program. And I had a lot of different incidents like that while I was there. But I think that was the first time that I kind of had to be like, I'm Black and it's a detriment to me in this situation,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Um, that story went on a whole lot longer than I planned on. And I see you have questions.
I mean, like not so much a question, but it's something you said that I'm like, I hope people don't miss that. So one, while we know that we have a lot of a lot of people that will have similar experiences to this, I mean, some of them that don't, um, well, actually for everybody, that idea of knowing, how to choose your battles. Um, I mean, I had some tough conversations this week, and uh, I'm, I'm thinking about you now because I'm thinking here you are in a state, in a city with yourself, right? Trying to number one complete already what is a rigorous program, right? And you're trying to navigate it not only with your own racial trauma, but the racial trauma of this institution and this department and this person, right? And I don't think that people sometimes understand that. And I think that sometimes we, from within our own culture, then sometimes outside, people also think that when they're allies, that we're supposed to fight when they fight.
But you're not an ally if that's how you feel.
That part, and that's what I'm going for, is that you people, if
Yeah.
we if we fought everything that happened to us, nothing would get done. It'd be from sun up till sundown.
And let me tell you how that followed me for the rest of my time there.
Mhm.
Um, but I'm aware of our time, so I don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we can always stretch this into a two-parter because it.
No, because like I remember like the following year I got into this class and the professor already knew my name
Mhm.
and I never met her
Yeah.
and she knew my name and she our mutual friend, we were in the class at the same time and we had partners for this semester, so we would work on things together.
Okay.
And so we literally wrote this assignment together, like one word, one sentence, one paragraph at a time. We did it all together. And I went to this lady and I asked her, I said, is it okay if we turn in the same thing, the same document, because we worked on it together, or do we need to just write it separately? And she said it was okay. The next thing I know, one of my research mentors, she's like, what's happening with you in this class? I keep hearing things. The head of my department forwards me an email from this person saying, basically, what happened to 5-year-old you? I'm concerned about her performance in this class because this was plagiarized. And I'm concerned that she doesn't understand and is not able to keep up.
Mm.
This because at the beginning of class, she'd asked us if we understood something. I said, well, I haven't taken that class yet, so I don't know like what my understanding is of it.
Yeah.
Mind you, at this point in the semester, I am like, this is where you told me you don't remember this, taking all these tests for me, where you would come and take all these IQ tests for me, like on Sundays, you're like, what?
Vaguely, vaguely.
I just remember asking you who is Sacagawea, and you were like, is that the woman at the well?
Ooh.
But basically, y'all, there were just like all these protocols and tests that I had to give. And my gracious co-host here, out of the kindness of his heart, allowed me to give him all the tests. And then I had to test a bunch of little kids. And so at this point where she's saying she's unsure about me,
Yeah.
I am like 4 or 5 protocols ahead of the entire class.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I think I might have finished everything that I needed to do that semester.
Yeah.
My advisor at the time, he was flip-floppy, but he came through on this one. He went with me to a meeting with her, and he said to her, our code of ethics says that when you have an issue with somebody, you think somebody's doing something unethical, you go to them first. You never went to her.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, show me where I don't understand. Like, show me. And she had to admit in that meeting that I was ahead of the class. So like, how are you writing a whole email, putting my standing in the department
Yeah.
into question, and also my friends? Like at that point, after that point, I don't think my friend ever wanted to do any work together again, just because, mind you, there were other classmates of ours who did copy off of each other, and she never made an issue out of it.
Wow.
Right. And again, we worked on this thing together. I asked her ahead of time before we handed it in, is this okay? And I'm like, you said it was okay, so how is it a problem? But in
Right.
the meantime, to my research mentor, she was saying that I had an attitude
Mm-hmm.
because I would sit in the class quietly. And that was I don't cry in front of people,
Mm-hmm.
but I cried in front of this woman. And I was like, my research mentor, I said, I don't understand. Like, why is it not okay for me to be myself here?
Mm-hmm.
If I ask too many questions, I'm aggressive. If I say nothing, I have an attitude. Like, why can't I? And at this point, I'm in my late 20s. So it's not like I don't know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, why is it not okay for me to be me?
Right. Right. Yeah.
You know? Um, and that was just like really deeply upsetting because it's like I literally didn't do anything wrong. You fabricated a bunch of stuff off of what?
Yeah.
And I always tell people when people are like, oh, you did a PhD, like how was it? And I'm like, it was cool. Like I always tell people the hardest part of my program was not the coursework.
Mm-hmm.
Did I have to pull out all-nighters? I just got back to going to sleep at night. Right? Because your girl would be up till like 5 a.m, just doing whatever, go to sleep, wake up at 8 and go do what I got to do.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so it wasn't the coursework. And I never really considered myself like a super smart person. Like I'm very persistent. But
Mm-hmm.
like the coursework was kind of low key easy in terms of everything else.
Yeah.
The hard part was navigating the people and their biases and their racism. And, you know, if I didn't have the wherewithal to document things or to have certain people stand up for me, I'd have been kicked out, right? Like,
Wow.
and that's what we talk about institutionalized racism, people.
Racism.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? It wasn't nobody calling me the N word. It wasn't nobody refusing me service. It was
Mhm.
you trying to use, like you said, the goalpost that you keep moving and moving and shifting. But one thing that I know about myself, and this is what I've dedicated myself to, is I will continue to watch how you're building these goalposts, and I will always tell people where they're at and how to get there. Because
Mhm.
that's something that I've always figured out, or people have helped me to figure out, because that is a way that we are, you know, oppressed. And so, yeah, we called that guy OD, or we would refer to people who, you know, acted some type of way towards us as oppressors,
Mhm.
because that's what they were essentially doing.
Wow. Wow. I mean,
I don't know where we go from there.
no, I mean, I honestly, I mean, I think with time and stuff, I'm like, I think we should wrap it here. Like,
Yeah.
I think we should pivot to a word because you have sparked a lot, and I think we need to let this sit with people. You know,
Yeah. I mean,
so let's put a word in here, and then we'll wrap this thing up. Um, you know, this has been a very interesting podcast for us, and I think the word that I would share right here is to do not underestimate the gift of vulnerability. You all have listened to us kind of talk tonight, and I think between George Floyd and then this particular last segment we just wrapped up, it's so fun to get on these podcasts and laugh and to talk about things. But I want to ensure or remind you that tonight you heard us being very transparent about where our hearts are and how we feel about some things and some of the events in our lives that have shaped us and impacted us. And so for those of you who may not have had those type of experiences, I want to challenge you to spend the next week reflecting on that and then come back and see what we have in store for you the next time. But I also want you to take time over this next week to find ways to be vulnerable with the people that are in your life that really matter to you. Not only is it an opportunity for you to learn something about them, but when you're vulnerable with people, you create safe spaces by which, like Dr. Keisha said, people can be authentically, transparently, freely themselves. And if we are really people of God, that's the type of environment that we want to create. We want people to be around us who know that it is safe to be who you are, and that I'll do my best to meet you where you are and to pray for you and to love on you the way that God has called me to do it. So, Christians, that's our word. Let's be vulnerable with one another. You know, let's be open, let's be compassionate, let's listen to each other, support one another. This is one of the many steps we got to take to build a better world. So thank you all so much for listening to the podcast. And Dr. Keisha, can we say that the doors of the church are open?
yeah, I mean, definitely that's a word, y'all. And the doors of the church are open. We are inviting you and welcoming you to join our community, to follow us. Make sure you like and subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you share it with others. And please leave us a written review. I know somebody did. So the doors of the church are open. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at black.saved. You can follow me at Dr. Keisha. That's DrKeisha. And
You can follow me at Ky Green Speaks. That's KY Green like the color speaks. And don't forget, go check out Dr. Keisha's page because she's got some awesome things going on over there.
oh yeah, y'all. Go do that. Go do the things. Go do the things.
All
All
right, we
right,
love
y'all.
y'all.
Take care. We love y'all.
Peace.